trying to be like you right now because the vibe and the the vibe and the swag you're giving me today is a special. I guess maybe it's the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. It is, man.
Yes, I mean, July 4th, a couple of years ago, about 15 minutes away from here, they signed the Declaration of Independence. So it's a great feeling to be American today, I suppose.
I appreciate that, man. And for those of you that don't know, KG is in the army, so he's definitely definitely serving the country. So salute to you, and we appreciate you. And happy Independence to everyone out there. And we appreciate you guys. Yeah, so let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 sports headlines that are kind of hovering around the world of sports. There's a lot of crazy things going on within the NBA and soccer too as well, and a few news out there in the NFL too as well. But yeah, this should be quite interesting. To start off with, our number 5 is Rob Gronkowski retires. So those of you that don't know, Rob Gronkowski is an NFL tight end that played for the New England Patriots for a couple of years, a lot of years actually, and then moved over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's a four-time Super Bowl champion. He retired at the age of 33. This is actually his second retirement. He announced he announced his retirement on social media, saying, "In college, I was asked to write about a dream job opportunity that I wanted to pursue and where the location would be. Every time I had to write about my future, yada yada yada." He picked being a professional football player, and it so happened that he became a professional football player. Um, yeah, one of Tom Brady's greatest weapons, man. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, obviously, I have nothing besides good things to say about Rob Gronkowski, a legend of the game, first ballot Hall of Fame, in my opinion. I'm also going to talk about how I still don't feel as if it's the goal of the tight end position, but we can get to that later. But no disrespect to him, obviously he's a legend,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and a complete tight end if you look at him in the grand aspect of things, because not only does he catches, yards after catches, but he also blocks, a great blocker as well. So that might be one of the reasons why he's always been injury prone and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
he played the game to the T, and it's common if you're going to spend a lot of years at in New England, you definitely know the game of football if you're over there. So definitely a legend in the game. I don't feel as if he's better than some folks. I could talk about that later, but if you ask, but
What? So if I what for? Like for me, I would say because of the timeline that he had, like he's still 33 right now. Like he has a lot in the tank to actually still play football. It was his decision to retire, but I don't know. Like because of that, it's like he did so much with such a short amount of time. But I, bro, like I think he's the greatest, man. Like I don't see anybody being better than him.
no, 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 definitely not, definitely not. And I say this because if I'm going to rate any football player, I look at durability. I look at personal accolades, and obviously, team accolades as well. No doubt, when we're talking about team accolades, Rob Gronkowski obviously has about 4 Super Bowls. I think
Right.
he's probably yeah, he has the most out of all tight ends actually. So, and we're not gonna dispute that. It was earned. But then if you're playing with the GOAT quarterback as well, I think that would
Yeah.
factor
Yeah.
a lot into it. So, not taking it away from him, but now let's look into durability. When we're talking about durability, Gronkowski has missed lots of games, man. Like let's
Yeah,
like
bro.
even
That's
during his first retirement,
right.
one of the reasons why he wanted to leave was because he felt as if he was punishing his body way too much. Uh,
But
as
do
a
you
tight
want to
end,
do you want to agree that
mhm.
when he was on the field, he was like there was no I would even say there was no other weapon in the running back position or the wide receiver position that was or the slot or wherever you're playing, right? That was as deadly as Rob Gronkowski. Like when Brady and Gronkowski were in the end zone, you kind of could put your money on it and say that's a touchdown, right? That
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like that, like I the durability. You have a good point. I look at it in the sense of like, man, when you were in the field, how dominant? Like, was there anybody comparable to you in the field when they played you? And for a tight end, there was I can't remember what season it was, but I think he had the most touchdowns, and that's very rare for a tight end because they don't see a lot of the ball.
Okay, so I
You
see
know,
you're starting to get into, the actual, offensive plays as well. Okay, but even if we're going to look into that, there's this guy that's currently playing right now. I don't think we've had many tight ends get at least 1,000 yards in a season, and this guy called Travis Kelsey is at about
right?
5 or 6 right now. So
Oh yeah,
by the time Travis Kelsey is done, in my opinion, he's going to be better than Rob Gronkowski, and I think he's the more dominant tight end in that
but
aspect.
that the well, yeah, you do have a point. Individually, because the accolades are tied to somewhat like your success, right? Travis is hands down the most durable. Like you talk about a guy who dominated for a long period of time, consistency, time and time again over the years, playing the tight end position. You can definitely make the argument that you know Travis would trump, Rob Gronkowski, but the question is how many rings is Travis going to get? Because right now he just has one, right? One Super Bowl.
I agreed, and but that's not what I would use to quantify the goal tight end in this, was because again, football is a team sport. If we're talking about positions, we have to look at what these guys have done from from their positions, and I don't even want to get into the likes of talking about Shannon Sharp or Antonio Gates, Jason
Yeah,
Witten, or
yeah.
my own personal goat, Tony Gonzalez himself, because like
Tony.
if you look at especially Tony Gonzalez, so I know he played about 17 seasons. He only missed about 2 games. That is crazy. In in a 17 season time frame, missing 2 games, that is amazing. So the durability is of no
Yeah,
question. Or if you
that
look at
is
even
yeah.
Jason Witten actually, I think he played 16 or 15, but he only missed one. So that's even crazy. And if you're looking at the yards,
J-
oh, were you going to say something, or were you going
Jason
to let
was
me finish?
yeah, yeah. I was just get. I'm an Eagle. We're both Eagles fans, so I really don't care about the Cowboys right now. But Jason Witten was he was one of those tight ends that he never wanted to end the game. Like he was someone that just wanted to play every
Hmm.
single down on the field. But
Agreed.
uh that's an interesting conversation. I'd actually like to have a deep conversation about tight ends in the future. But at our number five news circling around the world, Rob Gronkowski retires. Wish him all the best. I do have a feeling he might come back, but I'm not sure. But something tells me he's going to come back.
Just
But
just to
yeah,
add to
Rob
that, by the
Gronkowski,
way,
man, one of the best to ever do it.
just one thing to add to that. I did a little bit of research. Rob actually has about 5 Pro Bowls. So the most Pro Bowls by a tight end is Tony Gonzalez, which is 14. The next is 11. So even if Rob were to play the next 5 years,
14,
yes, 14. I think 14,
man.
I think it's 14 actually. Yes, but by the time that if let's say yes, I think it's 14. But even if he plays the next 5 years, he's not even gonna be second
Yeah,
because
that's a
Jason Witten
lot.
has 11.
Yeah, he's not
So
gonna.
like
Yeah,
when we're talking about goal tight ends, no disrespect to Rob Gronkowski, like definitely dominant. But even if you look at the scheme of the Patriots, you always knew that like once they're in the end zone, they either throw it to their tight ends,
yeah,
and what about the other guy? I think he was in jail at a point, but they were always like those 2 punches that they were running at the
yeah, yeah,
time
yeah,
before he
yeah,
went in
yeah,
jail.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So they either do
Hernandez, yeah,
that,
Hernandez.
yes, they either do that or they run it inside. Like you always knew it was gonna
Right,
go to the
right,
tight end.
yeah.
So Rob has always operated as the number one option. in their
I
schemes most
agree.
of the time. But if you look at likes of Jason Witten, for example, or Tony Gonzalez, they weren't always not the number one option, but they were putting in numbers. So I can't really discredit those guys, especially when you're looking at 14 Pro Bowls, 11 Pro Bowls. If you're talking about Shannon Sharp, 8 Pro Bowls, so it's yeah, not my
It's
own
it's
goal,
a
but
it's a yeah
definitely
yeah
a great player, a great
definitely
player,
yeah.
great
One
player.
of the
Yeah.
I agree with that. There's a lot of umphs to it, Rob Gronkowski, and the other tight ends, but definitely a lot of people's favorites. Definitely a lot of people not their favorites, but he's definitely in that conversation. So you do have a point with that, though. The Pro Bowls are very important because it's like, hey, everybody did their time. Yeah, we understand that you got these amount of Super Bowls, right? But everybody, the durability, everybody played the game and played it for a very long time. That longevity is very important. So I do agree with that. I do agree with that. Rob Gronkowski, man, hopefully gets back to the league. I do have a strong feeling, like I said, he might come back, but we never know, man. Congratulations on an amazing career.
Congratulations to him. Yeah.
So number four, yeah, number four. There's a lot of NBA trade deadlines happening in the league right now, and for number four, I wanted to get your take on what do you think is the best NBA trade deadline deal so far?
So to answer this question, I think it gets a little bit more complicated because trade deadline also, I mean, well, first of all, free agency started this whole trade deadline thing, right? So I believe as if this question should be framed towards us talking about free agency and the trade deadlines altogether, and talking about the best deals for either the teams
Right.
or even the players themselves. So I can start with, for me, team wise, I would probably say the Celtics because they added Malcolm Brogdon, arguably like someone that can create his own
Yeah.
shots, a playmaker. The only issue that is always at is that he wasn't durable. But as soon as they traded for him, without even losing anyone in their playoff rotation, the Celtics are, not only were they the best team in the East in the last playoffs, but now they've solidified it to say that yes, they are going to be going back to in my opinion, they will be going back to the finals again. And they were able to add Malcolm Brogdon and Danilo Gallinari. Obviously, he's lost his step, but a great shooter as well, a great playmaker too as well because he can find his own shot. But even though he's a little older now, yes, I agree. But the Celtics is just getting better because they got rid of, like they were able to acquire these two players without losing anyone in a playoff rotation. That is great. Arguably
Yeah. That is
the
crazy.
best
Yeah.
scenario for a team in that aspect. So yeah, I'll give it to the Boston Celtics. But if we're talking about player wise, I would say, DeJounte Murray and Darius Garland and also Jalen Brunson too as well. DeJounte Murray because
Yeah.
obviously he got good with the Spurs and the Spurs were going to go into rebuilding mode and he wanted to team up with what's his name, the guy in Atlanta. I forget what their point guard's name is.
Trey Young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Trey Young,
Trey
Trey
Young.
Young.
Yeah.
So it was a
Yeah.
win-win situation for them because they were able to get picks. They start their rebuild. Jalen Brunson had that, great playoffs. He did very well, and of course, the New Yorks were always going to overpay just so they can get someone. For me,
Right.
is the $100 million contract, is he worth it? No, but yes, because where are the Knicks going to
And
go?
I was going,
They
yeah. I was, and that's a very good point. Like, for me, I think team wise and player wise, and let me actually track back to what you said about the Celtics. I think that was a very great move by the Celtics with what they did. I think they gave basically peanuts for a really good basketball player. And as you said it, you said it perfectly. It's all about durability with this point at the point guard that they got. So I and it's funny because Marcus Smart, there's, remember the comment that was out there talking about, oh, the Celtics don't need a point guard. And he comes out like, why do you need a point guard? Because I am the point guard that you need. And then now in the free agency, they'll go out there to get a point guard. So it's like they got this like back and forth that's going on. within the team, and it's interesting because people have questions for the Celtics. Are they going to be able to go back to the NBA Finals? Because it's very hard in the East Coast. The East Coast just became much more stronger than the West Coast, depending on where the free agency is headed into. But going to the NBA Finals is not easy. Like if you don't add the right pieces or upgrade your team from last year, you're gonna run the risk of you know having lack of a squad depth to build that momentum to go into the finals, right? And you're gonna run towards, like you said, Atlanta Hawks. You're gonna see Milwaukee Bucks. We don't know the situation in Brooklyn. You're gonna run into those guys too as well, and Miami
It's
Heat
over
and
over there.
Philly.
It's
Like,
over.
there's so many teams that are, yeah, it's all over there. So that's actually a good. That's a good. That's a good deal that they made, I think. But moving
Yes,
back to
definitely.
my own best team deal, I would say the New York Knicks.
Mm.
Now, the Knicks are an organization that are you never, man, like I feel for those guys. Like you don't know what you're gonna have. You never know what you're gonna have with those guys, because it's like 1 minute they put your hopes high, the next minute they're just like the worst franchise in the NBA. And I say the New York Knicks because the deal that they made with Jalen Brunson, $104 million for 4 years. I felt like it was a reactive buy. Like you said, it was a reactive buy, but it was a good buy. They didn't buy him based off of the performance, based off of the years of performances he's done, because he just came into the league like what, 2 years ago. But they bought him because of what they saw in the playoffs. He averaged over 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists in the playoffs, and they had a really good run. They were in the Western Conference Final, and he was leading the point guard position, right? At a young age, doing all that, right? And then in the regular season, he had 16 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Now, obviously, in a team like New York, you want a lot of points to win the game, but I feel like Jalen Brunson brings this control that they're looking for on the team, because RJ Barrett needs help. He needs help on that team. Like, he needs help with someone who fast facilitates the team, and not just facilitates the team, but actually scores buckets. Like, I'm talking about difficult buckets, because most of the games you watched last year, they would just dish it to RJ Barrett and he would just swing in a three, which he's really improved. But it'd be like, hey, we don't have someone who can take control of the game. They had to only give it to RJ Barrett. But now when they bring in Jalen Brunson, it's like, okay, let the weight go down a little bit on RJ Barrett, right? And I just think that's a great pick. And obviously he's a native of New Jersey. He won the NCAA title with Villanova. Lived in Philadelphia, and I think it's kind of a, you know it feels like a perfect match, because he's moving back close to home, living in Jersey, his family, and then being close to New York. So for me, I think the New York Knicks, for me, that was a very good deal that they made, and we'll see. I don't know how it's gonna look like, but we'll see.
I mean, I think I lost you for a
So
second there, Chike.
yeah, we're probably having technical difficulties. All right, that's number 4 headline in the world of sports. Moving on to number 3. This is kind of like home based as Nigerians. You know, more of the natural side, I would say. But the best soccer transfer so far in the world of soccer to you. What has stood out to you so far?
Are you talking about for the team or for
I think
like
just the
each
play,
transaction?
just the like just like the player and the team, like a player who you feel a team got right and is gonna make an instant impact.
So,
Kind of like that
well,
relationship, the team and the player, not necessarily like the value of the player, but just like, what do you think is the best transfer out there like that is suitable for the team in soccer?
So, I mean, well, there's a lot going on, but I would say Antonio Rudiger to Real Madrid on a free
Ooh,
transfer. You
ooh.
can't really knock that. Someone that was, I think he was in the European Team of the Year, Premier League Team of the Year. You have a guy that is about 28 or 29 in his prime, faster than most forwards and wingers, can defend, can will give everything a great leader on a free. Like that is
Yeah.
arguably the best one from Chelsea, of course, unfortunately.
Yeah, so for
but
those
yeah,
of you
that
that
is
don't know,
arguably the
Chelsea's KG's a huge Chelsea fan, so I'm surprised you
go
actually
Blues,
brought
go
that up.
Blues. It's I mean, if we're talking sports, we can put feelings aside and still just speak on facts. So arguably it's Antonio Rudiger. Like you can't beat that at all. But now to go to their neighbors, I wouldn't really say neighbors, but Barcelona, they just actually signed Christensen and Kessie. I know
Hmm.
these guys are, they're good players, but they aren't superstars. But with what their coach is doing over there, Xavi, he's working on something. So from even though they don't have as much money, though they signed those two guys on a free transfer too as well. So they're definitely building a squad over there. They're also working on signing this defender from Villarreal, Kunde.
Hmm.
They're also working on signing what's his name, the Leeds talisman, the Brazilian guy, Rafinha. So and I think they will get Rafinha actually because Chelsea tried to sign him. Leeds has agreed to deal the money fee or transfer fee, but I don't think Rafinha wants to go to Chelsea, so he's waiting on Barcelona to send a better deal that he can go over there. And this is a player that is being regarded as one of, you know, probably going to be one of the faces for Brazil in the upcoming years because if you look at the games that they've been playing in the CONCACAF, no, not CONCACAF, but South
South America,
America,
yeah.
yeah, that type of stuff. This is the guy that he's been looked at as one of the top guys right now, even better than Richarlison, very
Hmm.
better than Richarlison actually. So, but that's not the point. So, yeah, I think Barcelona is working on some good things, and another team will be Spurs.
Hmm.
They added Bissouma, a great I think he's a good defender. Let me not say great. He's a good midfielder. Let me not say great, but this is someone that a Conte type of player,
Yeah.
motor, very fit, is going to always run his ass off. And obviously they signed with Richarlison too as well. I believe they also added Ivan Perisic. Perisic is a left wing back. He just had a great season in Serie A too as well. Double figure assists and goals altogether. So this these Spurs are working on some things over there too as well. Over there in North London, they're doing some things over there. Yeah, so I'll give it to those guys as well. And if we go to Germany, yeah, let's talk about Bayern. They just added Mane,
Oh yeah,
and
that was a huge deal.
a great play for
Yeah.
about 30 or 40 million.
Hmm.
And this he's going to be in Germany where teams don't even like there's a lot of space.
Yeah. It's
It, it's
nothing.
so it's it's so
Yeah.
Sadio Mane's type of game.
Yeah. It's
So
nothing. It's nothing
yes,
compared to the pace of the Premier League. You cannot compare that pace to Germany, and it would be so surprising if it wouldn't be surprising when you hear a player like Sadio Mane becoming like the top goal scorer in Germany because England has prepared him for that kind of game. It's
thank you,
it's
thank you.
like easy, It's like, and the way Bayern play too as well. It's like he's always going to find those nicks. But I'm curious about like how they're going to use him, right? Because if you not a lot of times did Mane play number 9 in Liverpool, which I know for sure he can definitely play that 9, right? But this is someone that he always liked to drop down the middle, and then sometimes he will come from the left flank, and then Salah at the right. But I'm just curious to how that would all play out, like how they would have Mane fit into that system. I don't have any doubts that he's going to be a great player there, obviously, but
Of course.
it's just what does that fit and look like? Are they trying to make him, hey, we want to rebuild you as a typical number nine where you're going to give us at least, 40 to 50 goals a year? Or we want you to play what you used to play in Liverpool, where you create, put pressure, and just win the ball and just play the way you always wanted to play, you know?
Great question. So I think with the whole Lewandowski fiasco, because I know he wants to go to Barcelona, which is another reason why Barcelona might be having one of the best transfer market this year. But even with that, even if you were to go to Barcelona with Sadio Mane at Bayern, he's going to play as coming from the left wing, of course, again, and he's going to be playing with Lewandowski, no, Thomas Mueller. So in that scenario, they either play Mueller as the 10 or even as a false nine, and that is even going to make his game a whole lot better because when you look at the way Liverpool plays and the way they use Sadio Mane, always coming from the left. And I know Sadio used to get pissed at what's his
Yeah,
name,
Salah. You
Salah,
can say,
because Salah, has made some like, well,
he's,
sometimes when you watch their
yeah,
games, you're like, what the hell is going on? And the guy that is supposed to create for those two guys hasn't really been doing it well so far, which is why Diogo Jota has now, replaced him in the starting lineup too as well. But I have no doubts that Sadio Mane is going to have a great time at Bayern. Not only is there space for him to run to play to his strengths, and he's strong, he's agile, he can shoot. And don't get me wrong, Sadio Mane is gonna have one of those situations where he's gonna see like an empty post and he might lose it. He has one of those scenarios like once
yeah,
in a while
yeah,
type of thing. But they're going to be creating so much, and you're playing with Thomas Mueller, who I believe arguably is the best at that position of creating
right.
for and making guys on the offense better. Because this guy, if you look at the way he plays, oh my God, what a player. But like, he
you,
doesn't do the skills or all that type of stuff. But like, when we talk about football sense, I think he's going to be
yeah,
a coach at some point. Like, he'll
you
probably
could
be a
tell.
coach.
You could tell. He's
God, he's amazing. But but with playing with Sadio Mane is gonna have a great time over there. At least 20 goals. Bank it right now. At least 20 goals. It
definitely. I agree with
Yeah, in
that.
the Bayern League.
That's actually a good one. I think a player or a team that I think that stands out is Gabriel Jesus going to Arsenal.
I was about
Now
to mention that.
that transfer, right, is, I look at it as a match made in heaven because many people are like, "Oh yes, Jesus, you're gonna miss out on Champions League." Look at the way City treated you and all that. But that's not. I don't even see it as that. Like I see it as you're going to a team where you've already played for the coach, Mikel Arteta, right? And apparently they did have a very good relationship when they were when he was the assistant coach for Manchester City. It was a very good relationship with Gabriel Jesus. And Arsenal need a missing piece, right? If you look at Arsenal, right, last year these guys were playing very attractive football, and trust me, saying this is very hard because as my viewers know, I'm a United fan. Saying this is very hard, but they were playing one of the most attractive footballs in the Premier League, and then they just didn't have that finishing touch, right? They didn't have a striker who could, games where they'd be down, but just put the ball at the back of the net. And even though you play bad, but they needed a striker who could take control. Now, I'm not saying Gabriel Jesus is that guy, but you've put Jesus in a position where he's guaranteed to start every game. Like, there's no competition he has at the number 9 on that team because Lacazette is out, Aubameyang is out, unless they bring in another striker. Martinelli, obviously, I believe he's coming from the wing. Maybe they might rotate him. We don't know. But Jesus is guaranteed. Like I promise you, in that contract, the biggest guarantee he had was that you were going to start every game because one of his struggles when he was in Man City was, hey, Pep, do you trust me or not? Like, you put me in games, I score goals, but then in the next game, you don't put me because it's like, oh, I don't feel. So every striker needs that that trust in a coach, right? To say, hey, if you trust me enough, let me go and play every game. I'm going to have bad days, right? But you have to trust me enough to produce and play every game, right? And I think that's why I say it's like a match made in heaven because of the relationship, the situation Gabriel Jesus was in City, and then coming to a team that missing piece was the striker, and you could see Arsenal kind of building from there. So for me, and obviously City bringing Erling Haaland in there, it's like this is the it's as white as day. Hey, we don't trust you. Okay, like that's basically just a statement right there. So I think Gabriel Jesus going to Arsenal, 5-year contract with them for 50. City bought him for 55 million, I believe. 5-year contract with them. So I like that. I like that. I like that signing. Um,
It's a good sign in a way because, like you said, the my rivals over in North London were playing some great football. Actually, I actually enjoyed their football because every time we played, well, I wouldn't say every time. Besides the first time we played them, but the second time we played them, they really thought my team out to play football. They were doing so, and it was just kids.
yeah,
Just that's
yeah,
what's annoying about it too.
yeah, yeah.
And they should have won that game because they lost a whole bunch of chances. So I think maybe Arteta isn't as bad as people might say he is, and he should be given some time to build the team that he wants, and maybe he might get there with him. So that was a great signing.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely a good one. So moving on, the number two news, circling around the world. Interesting news coming up, and we're staying in within the soccer world. Mo Salah renews his contract with Liverpool. We were just talking about Sadio Mane leaving, and then Liverpool, but kind of saying, "Hey, listen, we is basically saying we trust Salah more than Mane." And some people will disagree because some people believe that Mane is the engine for that team. But Mo Salah renews his contract with Liverpool, 3-year extension to 2025, about 350 per week. £350,000 per week, just to clarify, that's a
That
ton of money.
yeah, that's more
uh,
than what I make in a year, man. I don't like that.
and then, PFA player, last year, 2021, 2022. It's for me, I think that's a statement. Sometimes you don't need to go out to the media to say who you like. You kind of just need to your actions. When they say actions are
Yeah,
louder than words, you don't need to. You don't really need to go out there and say, "Oh, we prefer." Nah, you just hey, sign a contract and
yeah,
that's it. But yeah, I think this was an interesting one. I don't know
indeed.
how. I don't know how. I I know for sure that Salah is going to produce at the highest level within this contract. Now the question is, how are Liverpool going to fix or replace Mane, right? Because to be fair, they did kind of do that with Diego Jota, right? There was a little bit of
Actually,
chemistry.
no.
Okay, so I wouldn't say replace, but if you noticed, when Mane didn't play some games, right, or even if Salah didn't play some games, somehow Liverpool figured it out. Because what I think Klopp figured out was that as long as from the midfield all the way to the goalkeeper is stationed every week in and out, you have the regular guys. The three up front are very. You can rotate the three of them, and you will still get results, right? Because I feel like that was the that was Jurgen Klopp's thought process to saying, hey, okay, we're going to give Salah a contract because we believe that this guy's going to score goals, right? But we can afford to also let Mane go as well, right? Because I truly believe that Liverpool have the money to keep Mane. It's not a situation. It's just Mane wanted to leave himself because he felt like he wasn't being respected on the team. But with this contract, I'm like, they are kind of saying, like I said earlier, they trust Salah, but at the same time, we have someone who might be able to replace Mane. Not saying obviously become a Mane, but it works. it works 100%. I've seen it without them playing Mane. Somehow it works.
So to add to what you said, I think this whole fiasco started from there was a game against Crystal. I think it was Crystal Palace, and Mane just had like two goals. Salah wasn't even in the game at the time, and around the 55th minute, he was subbed off. So, and then he was subbed in for. I mean, Salah was subbed in, to replace Sadio Mane, of course, and then Salah goes to grab another two goals, and I don't think Mane was too happy about that, even being subbed at 50. And then he started to progress with because in the beginning their relationships it was great actually, but it then started to progress towards other situations where you see Sadio Mane getting mad at Salah, which I totally understand because there are situations where that man is supposed to pass the ball, or at least anyone in their right mind would pass the ball, right? But
Right, right.
Salah, and I don't blame Salah for that, and I can't even fault the coach for that because the coach needs the star players to have that killer instinct. They're like, look, man, even though I know you're free, but I still trust myself to know that I can score because those are the things that make the difference at the top level, like in the Champions League final, for example, you never know when you might need that, right? So, Coach Club has always been that guy to kind of, limit that beef in a sense and then try to, protect Salah in that aspect,
In that
which
aspect,
I
yeah.
feel as if didn't sit well with Sadio Mane. And I don't blame Sadio Mane too as well. So what did they do? They realized that Salah is the face of Liverpool at this point. Some people might say that Mane is actually the reason because I can actually break this down for you. So I'm just gonna get to it like in
Yeah,
increments.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So anyway, so Salah is the face, and one thing that I feel as a club realized was that he knew that there was going to be a day where either Mane either gets with the program or is going to want to leave by himself. So what does he do? He signs that kid from Porto the January transfer market, right? The
Hmm.
winter transfer market. He's a winger as well. So and Diogo Jota was also signed to replace Firmino because Firmino, for so-called being a playmaking striker or whatever,
I
they
love,
said
I
it
love, I
was.
love Firmino.
Yeah.
Can I just say so? I think Firmino plays one of the most romantic footballs I have ever seen.
Well, it's
Like
it's not that
it's
productive anymore.
no, Klopp. The thing is, Klopp is that's why Klopp is somebody that when if you notice how he kind of didn't start Firmino, I was upset, but I understood something. Klopp is a manager that embraces change. Right, he sees something that may affect the progress of the team, even though it wasn't affecting the progress, but he always is looking for trying to improve, trying to be better. Right, which I still don't get it because Firmino's football is, or as Americans would call it, soccer is so romantic. But I'm just like,
Sorry, but and here's why I say that because if you're telling me that his game is so great to the point where he's being replaced by a player from Wolves called Diogo Jota, and that guy is producing, scoring, and also doing what he's supposed to do with assisting Mane and Firmino, because
but
like
KG, you have to think about something that just came up to mind. Sorry to cut you. You also have to think about
no, you're fine.
squad depth, right? Because these guys, no, hold up. These guys are something. If you notice something that Pep Guardiola does, right, with the squad is he signs really great players, and you're thinking, why is this guy wasting so much money on these guys? But he never really consistently starts all of them. Like look at Jack Grealish. You spend $100 million on Jack Grealish, but Jack Grealish did not have as much games as Mares, right? And you then they just recently who was it that they just signed? This dude from Leeds. I they signed. I can't remember his name, but they just signed a midfielder from Leeds.
Oh, I know what you were talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, and he's
Kevin
not Kevin
Kevin
Phillips.
Kevin
Kevin
Phillips.
Phillips, right? And are you telling me Kevin Phillips is guaranteed at least 30 games this season? Absolutely not. To
No,
start,
no.
no. But you spend so much money on a player like that, and it's not about like these players already know, hey, listen, I'm coming in here because I'm trying to strengthen the squad depth. They want to have
Chike,
players who can win
Chike,
games throughout the season.
not to cut you off, but Kevin Phillips is going to replace Fernandino, and he's going to play
Oh,
way more than Fernandino.
yeah, yes,
So,
yes, yes, yes.
so
No,
all that,
no,
like,
but think about Rodri,
he's going to
right?
play.
No, he's not benching Rodri.
Of course
He's
not,
not
and the
benching
fact that
Rodri.
Rodri is
Ro-
Spanish is
he's
Hispanic too. So
he's
like
not
that's
benching Rodri, and that's why I said Fernandino. I even thought he was already leaving. That was his last season.
that
He's
man
already
doesn't
done.
want to leave, but
But
he's going to get
he's
the
not
medal.
benching Rodri, and I'm thinking you spend so much money on players like this to come to the squad, and it clicked to me. It's like these guys are trying to strengthen squad depth because throughout the season there's so many games that are being played.
So I mean, well, I like that narrative that you just used, but here's the thing, Chike. We can look up Firmino stats and Diogo Jota stats, and you see the difference. And this man, actually, Klopp must be very grateful for Diogo Jota because it's this is one person that was able to still help, Okay, so let's look at Liverpool's game. Their game relies on both wingers, Mane and Salah, to score most of their goals, right? And then you have one of those situations where someone from the midfield just scores a screamer or a defender gets a header, right? But he's actually lucky. Like, I've never seen a combination of two wingers get as much goals as assists as these two guys in it. Like, it's
Yeah,
actually
that's
unreal.
fair.
Like, I can
Yeah,
compare that almost like the only folks I can compare that to two folks. So I could be comparing with Barry and Robin,
Robin.
or even sort of a Messi Neymar type thing, but not obviously at that level. Obviously, let's count. But you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
extremely. So you need someone in that middle who is consistently going to keep getting these guys the balls. And this was what Firmino was doing in the beginning, right? I will call him, the playmaking striker, all this type of stuff. But he stopped working, and then Diogo Jota comes in, and Diogo Jota's like, you know what? Forget that. Not only am I going to help these guys create space for them, I'm also going to score too as well. It got to a point Diogo Jota was scoring headers. So Firmino needs to go to the bench.
I
And
so I
that's
I,
the
I think I
point.
think I think
Okay.
I think it's I see your point, right? And I to some degree I agree with that. I just think it's more of a managerial decision, like in terms of like what is the best way. Like you look at, and that's what every great manager does, right? What is the best way I can improve my squad? And he looked at it from a perspective of Firmino gives me. Let's look at it. Firmino gives me an A minus performance every night. If I add no, this is hypothetically, right? He gives me an
Okay,
A
okay,
minus performance, right, every night,
okay.
and then bringing in Jota gives me an A performance every night. Now, A minus A, there's a difference, right? But you can still, those kind of performances will still win you games. But Klopp looks at it in terms of, hey, how can I improve my squad to be better? And the best option was Jota, right? And yeah, there's a lot to talk about in this space with Liverpool. But yeah, this is an interesting one. Mo Salah, his contract being renewed with Liverpool. I think this was a statement basically say, hey, we prefer
we
Salah
we
to
choose we,
Mane.
ch- we choose Salah, right?
We
Yeah,
choose Salah, right?
I agree because and I know Klopp even knew like if Klopp could have it his own way, right? He would rather have Mane over the guy from Porto, or so. Okay, another thing was I feel as if Klopp realized that all right, something needs to change, and there's going to be another like another if he's supposed to keep that type of dynasty going, he signs that forward from Benfica. That guy is going to replace Diogo Jota, of course, and the guy from Porto was supposed to replace Mane, which was why he signed him during the winter transfer market to learn as much as he could from Mane to also understand that position. So
Yeah.
and this is actually going to make it Salah's team. No, none of those guys are going to say, "Look, Salah, like you need to pass me the ball." They dare not say that.
And one thing I want, I
So
one thing I think we missed was, Liverpool actually just signed Darwin Nunes. Right.
That's the guy from Benfica that I was talking
Yeah.
about.
So
Yes,
it's gonna be
yes.
an interesting. I think we definitely have to visit this revisit this conversation, but that's gonna be an interesting topic. So yeah, Mo Salah renews his contract with Liverpool. That's the number two, or in our perspective, the number two headline circling around the world of sports. And number one, we have this guy, Kevin Durant. Kevin Kevin Durant
The
requested a
bicycle
trade.
star.
Kevin Durant requested a
Oh
trade
man.
from the Brooklyn Nets, man.
Oh man.
So just a brief background. Kevin Durant, he's an NBA you could call it a
Champion.
small NBA champion, small forward.
Yes. Yes.
He
2 times
spent
NBA
about
champion.
two years with the Brooklyn Nets. Currently, well, current still technically still a player, but 2 years with the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving. He is a two-time NBA champion with the Golden State Warriors. On June 30th, I think, which was about last week, he requested a trade, saying that he wanted basically to look at his options outside of the Brooklyn Nets. Some teams, or a few of the teams that are interested, are the Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat. Those are the teams that are most likely interested. But I believe that the Brooklyn Nets will not honor Kevin Durant's preferred destination. It's not up
No.
to
Why
Kevin
should they?
Durant.
Why
It's
should
not
they?
up to Kevin Durant.
He's on the
It's more,
contract.
yeah, it's up to the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant averaged 29 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists last season. Obviously, Hall of Famer, top
Hall of
player in the
Famer.
league. But there's just this. It's like this is yeah, exactly. There's a side to it. It's like, bro, are you like, what is going on? And now we're hearing news that the Golden State Warriors are actually interested in bringing him back. And I'm like, bro, if do you know how damaging that would be if you go back to the Warriors? Like, you're gonna win. I promise you, they're gonna win chips. But in your career, there would always be that conversation, and it feels like that's the feeling around the room. Like, is Kevin Durant running a game, running away from that conversation of leading a team? Like, what is going on?
Damn. So, first of all, I know I made that comment about, Kevin Durant being a runner, a track star or whatever.
Shauna
Make no
Sharp.
doubt. Yeah, so I won't dispute it. Shout out to, Uncle. But personally, I feel as it's quite unfortunate actually, because I feel as if Kevin Durant, no doubt, is a student of the game and someone who is arguably, if not the most gifted scorer that I've ever seen, at least in my own lifetime. I'm still kind of young, but I haven't seen anyone that is at least 7'1", can move like Kevin Durant, um, can score. He could in all types of positions, can create his own shot. If Kevin Durant wants to average 60 points a game every every like
Definitely.
for a season,
Yeah,
he could do some things like that.
he
But
could do it. Yeah.
he's not that type of person that's going to do that because he's a student of the game, and I respect him for that. But now there are the intangibles, which I believe Kevin is lacking in that aspect because this is one of the reasons why people were making fun of LeBron at the time, especially when LeBron choked against the Mavericks in the finals. They're like, oh, he's a choke at this, that, and then LeBron finally wins one against Kevin Durant's OKC. And then I felt as if at a point the conversation was between even Kevin Durant and LeBron, right? And then people like Steph now are now over there. And Steph now will finally win it as,
Fun. Yeah.
his finals MVP, about 4 rings now. He's arguably the best player of his generation now. I mean,
Right.
I'm not counting LeBron because I feel as if LeBron is,
He's on a different level. Yeah.
yes, but when we're comparing between Kevin Durant and Steph Curry now, arguably when we're talking about it's Steph
It's
Curry now.
Steph. Yeah, it's
But for
Steph.
me, who would I rather have on my team? I'm still telling you right now, I'm still gonna pick Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant, you can't teach that eye and that type of skill.
Right.
You
Right.
can't teach that. For me, I feel as if he's the better player. But when we're talking about who's greater, is Steph Curry.
Right.
And I say this because Steph Curry has been lucky enough to stick with one team and have people build around him to get to a point where he was able to win that first championship and then gets Kevin Durant, they win the next two. And they weren't gonna win those two without Kevin Durant actually. And they also said that too as well. Like Steph Curry said
Draymond,
that,
yeah.
Klay Thompson said that, Draymond, they both said so they know who Kevin Durant is. But Kevin Durant not being able to do his own thing on his team, he tried that at OKC, but he always had clashes with Russell Westbrook, which I totally understand because Russell
Right, right.
Westbrook, my
Yo,
God.
dog. I don't even
But
want to talk. I don't even want to talk
yeah,
about Westbrook right now.
that,
Please, not in this
this isn't
conversation. It
about
it ain't about
this
you,
isn't about
Russ.
Westbrook. All right. So anyway, back to back to topic. Kevin Durant was supposed to do that with the Nets, right? And I give him props for trying to do that 2 years ago when they lost against the Bucks. I feel as if they were able, if they had, what's his name? Was it Kyrie
James,
Irving?
yeah, Kyrie and
Because
James Harden.
if
Because
yes, if they
Kyrie
had,
was
they
injured.
were
Yeah,
definitely gonna win, and I feel as if they were going to win the finals too as well. So it was quite unfortunate for them, but for him to try and get a trade right now. And I also understand too as well because these guys weren't going to commit to Kyrie Irving, which I also understand from the team's perspective as well. But the deal was that Kyrie Irving is with me, and if he's not with me, then what's the freaking point?
what's the
You know?
point? Yeah,
So in a way, I understand where he's coming from. It's unfortunate for him, but at this point, I don't see him. The only way he can do this is as long as he doesn't goes to the Golden State Warriors again because that would be very
yeah.
damaging for his reputation.
Hmm.
So if he can go somewhere else, if that's doable, but there's no way I would trade Kevin Durant and I would be normal. Like I should be fired as if I were the GM for if I were the GM for the Nets, right? I'm not going to trade Kevin Durant for scraps. Like if because I know the Heat want them, the Heat want them, the Suns they also want them too as well. But if I were the if I were the, if I were the Nets, I'm asking for at least Bam Adebayo back, Bam
Yeah.
Adebayo, Tyler Hero, your
The
first like
whole
the next three picks
I
for the
am
next few
asking
years.
for the
Like
whole squad except Jimmy
so
Butler. The whole
like
squad except Jimmy
obviously
Butler.
not just but like Bam Adebayo has to come, Tyler Hero is coming, and your next two picks for the next 2 years they are coming as well. And
But
I'm only being nice.
something. This is something I've kind of echoed to everybody that I've spoken to this about. I the situation in Brooklyn, right? It's to me, it's not really a player issue, right? It's more than that. I think it's a culture issue, and you also have to hold Steve Nash accountable, right? Because
That man
Steve
isn't a
Nash,
coach, man.
Steve, yeah, because I'm not like Steve Nash, Hall of Fame and all that, right? But you got to start questioning his coaching, and the culture in Brooklyn is terrible, bro. Like this, it's like there's it's not a basketball town anymore. I think it's the New York effect. Same with the Knicks, right? But every other thing outside of that, like these guys are so talented. They have Ben Simmons, they have Kyrie, they have KD. That team is capable on paper.
They have Ben Simmons.
Yeah. Oh, you. That's petty right there. That is mad petty. But you get what I'm saying, right? On paper, like they have this squad that is able to win a chip, right? But
Right.
you cannot get any every week we're hearing something about these dudes and I don't even know how they're gonna figure it out, but if some way they end up playing together, I don't see it working because already you're saying guys don't want to play here, guys don't want to play there, and then they come back together. How on earth is it gonna work when you say you wanted to opt out, but then you're in the same gym shooting shots, looking at the GM saying, "Oh, I wanted to opt out, but I'm still playing for you." Like, where's the chemistry? Like, how? I don't know, man. Like,
So yeah, and to add to that too as well, I feel as if the Nets they got exposed because they got swept.
oh
you
yeah,
know, I
cleaned
never
out.
in a million years would I think that someone like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, both in their prime, getting swept. And that goes back to how talented up to like this Celtics team. Like now that they have like Malcolm Brown. Oh my gosh! Like, yeah, if we run it back right now with teams that we have, and you know that Golden State has also lost one of their best defenders, and what's his name? I know he's with the Trailblazers Blazers like right now. So
Oh,
I
I
think
can't remember. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, they
you
lost
know
one
who
of the
I'm
pieces.
talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like if we were to run it back right now with what we have, it might be different. It might be
Mm-hmm.
different.
It
So
might be.
I see why Kevin Durant would also want to jump ship because looking at that is like, oh man, another firepower. You know, like it's I can't do this by myself, man. I need to I either go to the West,
Yeah.
let me go play with that. And honestly, it would be a great scenario if he were to go, to the Suns because he has someone in Devin Booker that
Oh no, no, they're not.
that can
The
play.
the the, the
And
son
then
said they're not. If the
if Booker
sorry,
is
the Brooklyn
involved,
said,
right?
yeah, if Booker is not involved in that deal, forget about it. And there's no,
But
if Chris
it's
Paul plays with KD, that is the worst. I don't even want to think about it.
you think it'll be worse
It
than
will be because
I
I
think it
first of
will
all
be better though.
I don't trust Chris Paul. I say it out. I don't trust Chris
But
Paul because
he's a great player.
he's a great
And
player, but dude,
first ballot Hall of
can you
Famer.
fix your groin or your hamstring? Fix it, right? Go to
Mm,
Germany,
mm.
do some specialized
Go to
surgery,
Germany,
right?
right?
You know,
Yes.
something. I
Kobe
don't
did
know
that.
because I'm not gonna rely on a player that you're in game three, semifinals, and you take just two shots and then you pull a hammy and that's it. Like, bro, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I don't trust Chris Paul. He's great, Hall of Famer, first ballot, but I do not trust Chris Paul. So for me, I just think if Katie is wise enough, like Phoenix is not the place you should go to. I don't know where
Go to the E.
Miami is looking like the best option, but again,
Miami is definitely better.
I'm
There
saying
is no
this.
way.
It doesn't matter what KD does, right? For all I care, he can go to the G League or whatever you want to call it. They're gonna talk about this. Like
Yes,
if you
yes,
don't get a
but
chip in Brooklyn, it's gonna be a conversation for the
okay.
rest of his life.
So yes, but so now this is crucial because if KD does get his wish to to go somewhere, he has to win there.
He has to win, right?
If he doesn't win, it's I like, and if I were KD, man, I might be depressed because I know for a fact that I'm better than almost everyone in the league.
Right, right.
Like if I'm not counting LeBron, and some people might argue that some people were actually saying it at some point, that KD was in fact better than LeBron. But that's another topic. But
That was like back in the day before he got the Cavs and the Lakers ring, right? Like there was
no,
a
no,
conversation.
even when it did that though, because remember while it was at Golden State, like people, I don't.
Oh yeah,
Do you remember that we used to have these arguments in our group chats when we were talking about,
yeah,
and
we
I even
did.
used to mention James Harden too. Oh my God!
Oh my
But
god,
hey,
bro.
like I don't want to get to that though because James Harden had one of the greatest run I've ever seen someone in a season. Like this guy was averaging like 45, 50. Like what the hell? Like I've never
Yeah,
seen
but
that before. But
he
that's another
needs
topic. But anyway,
he needs to stay out of the strip clubs. That's his problem right now.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyways,
Back to topic with
yeah,
KD. So yes, it's unfortunate for him that he's in this situation, and now Draymond Green now has 4 rings and he has two. Draymond,
yeah,
and Draymond is a Hall of Famer too, by the way. So
yeah.
don't let me discredit him, but it's Draymond, bro. Like
Oh boy.
like it's but yeah, it's
Well,
this is the most important decision that he will make in his career, and it's going to be very important. So I wish him the best of luck. Obviously, not at the detriment of my Sixers. So, but I don't see us doing anything either. And you also have to take account of this because even if he does goes to Miami, right? They just lost PJ Tucker, and if it's traded, they're definitely gonna lose Tyler Hero. So those are two key players that are going to be leaving. Um, and then I know Nets would want what's his name, Bam Adebayo as well. That Bam Adebayo is a great player at the moment, one of the best defenders in the league. Like he did a lot like in the playoffs. Like he did a whole lot. I don't even want to talk about what he did with Embiid. Like yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for
yeah,
sure, man. It's
so obviously it wasn't the better player between him and Embiid, but he shut Embiid down. So he limited him to about maybe 15, 20 points a game.
yeah, and yeah,
So
that's a we MB didn't play the first two games, but the whole match
yeah,
thing,
but
but
still,
it's still yeah, it's Embiid, man.
I can give him the benefit of the doubt to say he broke his nose, this that, but it's basketball, bro. Like we're shooting the
Yeah,
ball, we're not losing our nose, so I'm not gonna make that excuse
yeah,
for him. So if he
yeah,
goes, ah, I don't know, man. I wish Katie the best of luck because this is actually he's in the worst position that he can be in his career right now. He's in the worst position.
yeah. I'm a KD fan, but man, I wish him all the
And
best, man. I
it,
he
it's it
just
sucks because Kyrie might actually end up with the Lakers because the Lakers are actually discussing
yeah,
the Russ Westbrook Kyrie
trade
flip.
scenario, yeah,
Yes, and Kyrie will go back to LeBron, and then you have Kyrie, LeBron, and AD. Like that's a great you know victory. I'm
yeah,
not even gonna lie. If AD can keep himself fit too as well,
healthy.
because that man is never fit.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, Kevin Durant, we wish you the best, man.
We wish you the best, man, but stop
That's
running. Damn,
stop running, yeah, and
stop running, bro.
stay off Twitter. That's my
Don't
own
be scared,
advice.
bro. Don't be scared, bro. Yeah.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, KG, for stopping by on the top
It's
five
it's an honor. It's an honor.
sports podcast. Today's session was interesting. The top five headlines are circling around the world, and
I'm gonna
it's
take
it.
a picture of this so I can post it on IG
Hey,
or something.
man, I appreciate it, man, all the time, man, all the time,
You know,
all the time, man.
I'll do like do that. I'll do like do that.
Let them know you got the Havana Happy 4th of July vibe going on.
Happy for it. Happy for it. God bless America. I know there's a lot going on, but
Yeah,
I don't think
for
there's
sure.
anywhere else that is better than this country right now. So yeah, man.
Well, yeah, man. If you guys liked this episode, just hit the like button. And if you want more content, hit the subscribe button and the notification button. And it's a pleasure, man. Stay blessed and have a great day. Top 5 Sports Podcast.
You,
Peace.
sir.